Hi, everyone. Dr. Vicky here, speaking to you from the Seeds of Transformation Healing Center. It's time for Taroscopes again, and this will be the Taroscopes for the sign of Scorpio for the month of October 2023. That's Scorpio Sun, Scorpio Moon, Scorpio Rising. So let's get started on that. Yes, we have visual aids this month. So let's take a look at the astrology of the month. Now, of course, October is one of the months where the sun is actually in Scorpio. It moves into Scorpio on the 23rd. We also have Mercury moving into Scorpio the day before, I believe, on the 22nd. Let me check that. Yes. And Mars moving into Scorpio, which you Scorpio is really going to like. Mars is one of your co-rulers of Scorpio. With Pluto, I would say. And both Mars is powerfully placed this month, as is Pluto, because Pluto is stationing direct. And whenever the transpersonal, the outer planets move, change direction, there's usually big shifts and events that occur, usually in the outer worlds, that we'll take notice of. Now, we're also in eclipse season. One of the eclipses does happen while the sun is in Scorpio. That's the full moon eclipse on the, is it the 28th, I think? And that is with the moon in Taurus and the sun in your sign of Scorpio. And the 28th, the 28th. So let's sort of go planet by planet. Of course, the sun starts in the beginning of October. The sun is in Libra, and we can see the sun right here, the sun sitting in your 12th house. We also have Mercury, which spends some time in Libra, about, I think, 18 days from the 4th to the 22nd, which is 18 days. And then we have Mercury move into Scorpio. So Mercury starts in Virgo, moves into Libra, and then moves into Scorpio. So Mercury, the planet of the mind, is moving pretty quickly. And while it's in Libra, it's in your 12th house. And so we get, as is the sun in the 12th house, and as Mars is in the 12th house. So there's a lot of 12th house energy. The 12th house energy can be a way to connect to spirit, but it also can bring up some of our own self-undoing. So we do have to be aware that when the planets are in Libra, we have to make sure we don't shoot ourselves in the foot with that energy. So let's talk about when those things are there. The sun is in Libra from the beginning of the month until the 23rd of October. Mercury is in Libra from the 4th of October to the 22nd, when it moves into your sign of Scorpio. And Mars is in Libra, but only until the 12th, that it moves into Scorpio. Then all that energy moves into your first house. And your first house is who you are. And so we have the energy of Mars, we have the illumination of the sun, and we have your mind there deeply embedded in Scorpio. And Mercury in Scorpio doesn't take prisoners, honestly. And people can't get away with anything. So there's that. So if you can prevent yourself from shooting yourself in the foot by the time things move into Scorpio, you're all set and you're ready to take on the world, so to speak. The social planets, Jupiter and Saturn, are still moving retrograde. They'll be retrograde all month. The social planets is how we interact with society. Now, Jupiter is in your opposite sign of Taurus. And so whatever planets you have in Scorpio, Jupiter is making oppositions to those. And so oppositions are about awareness. And Jupiter is about potential. So we're getting awareness around potential. Jupiter is also in your house of relationship. And so this could be an expansion of relationships, but Jupiter is also a freeing energy. Jupiter frees us from things. And it could be freeing us from some relationships that have been holding us back. Uranus is also in Taurus. Uranus has been there since what, like 2018. And so it's there for 7 years. Uranus is sudden, out of nowhere, things happening, shock and awe. You're Scorpio, you're pretty familiar with shock and awe and things happening. You're in a transformational lifetime when you have Scorpio in your chart. And so you can't see it coming, but you usually, when it comes, you usually have some idea of the best way to go about either getting out of a situation or moving into a situation, depending on what the change does. We have Saturn retrograde in your fifth house. That's your house of children, your progeny, your creativity. Might be having some issues with that. Neptune's there as well, but Neptune's there for 14 years. And Neptune spiritualizes things in a way. So it's really hard to discern what Neptune's actually going to do for you, because there's so much potential in Neptune. It can be like a total illusion and delusion, or it can be fame and fortune. Honestly, Neptune has that power. If you're a latter degree of Scorpio, say you have your Scorpio towards the end of Scorpio, say right before the sun moves into Sag, which would be November, Neptune is trining your sun, or trining your Scorpio planets, whatever planet that might be. And that sort of brings a spiritualization and maybe a healing. Neptune through the fifth house can be a healing of your self-expression. It could be healing around your children. Saturn will point out what needs to be healed. And Saturn is going to be moving retrograde from 1.5 degrees of Pisces back to 0.5 degree of Pisces. It continues to move retrograde until, I think it might even be December. I should probably look. Let me just see. When does Saturn go direct? It was right at the beginning of December, but it might be November. Hold on 1 second. I'll tell you when that happened. Where are you, Saturn? When are you tuning around, Saturn? The 4th. So not too long into November, Saturn will turn around and start to move forward in that fifth house. So things will ease up a bit, and you'll be able to get more maybe creative output out. But while we're talking about October, it's going to be retrograde the whole time. And then there's Pluto. Pluto changing direction, moving direct on the 10th. That's the 10-10 portal. That should be an interesting portal reading when we get to it, right? It's been in your house of mind, lower mind, transformation of the way you think, the way you take in information. Could also be changes and transformations around your neighborhood, your neighbors, or your siblings. All of those can apply. You know, Pluto's been in Capricorn for a long time. It's about ready to move out. It's going to move out in January and make one more little step back in on only in the last degree of Capricorn, because, you know, you got to that'll be a giant period at the end of that sentence. And remember, when Pluto moved into Capricorn, we had the bank collapse. So we'll see what happens when Pluto moves out of Capricorn. And that's going to be from September of 2024 to about a week or so after the election. I think the 10th, maybe something like that. November 14th, maybe 2024, when it moves out of Capricorn and then moves into Aquarius, where it will be for 20 years. And when that happens, that's your fourth house. In fact, you got a little taste of that back in March when Pluto moved into Capricorn for about 3 months. I think it was a little less than that. And then had to move back into Capricorn. So that little flavor that you got from, say, March to the beginning of July 2nd, I believe, is a taste of your experience for the next 20 years. So just so you know. And then moving into the house of soul, which is your fourth house, really, really working with your soul, which is why you came. You came to surrender to the soul. You came to as an ego buster. And sometimes it's your own ego that gets busted first before you can actually go around busting other egos. But we call it in Jersey, you're a ball buster. Oh, sorry, did I say that out loud? I think I can say that to Scorpios without offending too many of you. All right, so I think that's what I want to say about the astrology. I didn't talk about Venus. Did I talk about Venus? You know, Venus has been retrograde, as you know, in your house of career. So things have probably been a little bit challenging, especially if you're like an actor or a writer, right? Some challenges with that because of the strike and the like. But that's Venus is now moving forward. She is in Leo still at the beginning of the month, and then she shifts into Virgo. When she shifts into Virgo, shifts into Virgo, she moves into that 11th house, the friends and connections and the larger network. But she also rolls up her sleeves and gets down to business. Gets down to business, which is a good thing, I think, for all of us. So if you happen to be a writer or something like that, we might see some sort of change in that, and maybe you can get back to doing what you love to do. All right. Okay, let's. I'm going to use. Let me get out of this. One thing at a time, Skirbo. One thing at a time. I'm going to use the tarot, the tarot of transformation. I know what I'm saying. It's not coming out of my mouth. Now, what did I do with that tarot of transformation? It transformed. I can't find it. Hold on. Oh, I found it. You know, Scorpio kind of rules invisible things. Actually, all the water signs kind of are around invisible things. You know, things under the water. What's that old Larson cartoon? Things look closer, and things are actually closer than they look like in the mirror. And there's this big eyeball, right? There you go, the eyeball. So that's kind of a Scorpio thing. But I think it's also the other water signs as well. Okay. I love this deck. I've had it for years. I got it on sale. I love a good sale. Like, I was looking and looking. I'm like, oh, I can save $3 on this deck. Let me get it. And that was like probably 25 years ago. So this is what 25 years of card reading looks like. Okay. Tarot of transformation. What does Scorpio need to be aware of as we move through October 2023? Did I talk about the eclipses? I don't think I did. Oh, I did, right? New moon eclipse in your 12th house. That's a very intense eclipse. That's going to happen on the 14th of October. And then we have the full moon. I think I talked about that one. With the moon in Taurus. And that one, maybe I didn't talk about it. That one is actually, that's a full moon, and that goes across your axis of self and others. And it's very emotional, right? It's the moon, it's the full moon, and it actually connects to when the nodes of the moon were in Taurus and Scorpio. And that began the beginning of 2022 and went into, and that shifted in July. I think it was the 17th when it moved into the next set, because the nodes are in signs for about 18 months. So from the beginning of 2022, pretty much until July of this year, everything that happens in between that is sort of coming to a culmination. So you can look back and see what that's going to be about. And that actually happens on the 28th. And it's eclipse season. And eclipse season always portends big evolutionary changes and shifts, which sounds scary to everybody but Scorpio, because that's kind of what you do your whole life, whether you whether you thought it was your intention or not. It's a brave soul that comes in as a Scorpio. And then there's a whole generation of Scorpio, Pluto and Scorpios, the millennials. Yeah, they struggle coming in with that Pluto and Scorpio, but they're the transformers. They're the generation that are going to change things, and we need to support them. We don't have to agree with them, but we do need to support them. Okay. Those people born from like Pluto and Scorpio, 1983 to 1994. Oh crap, oh sorry. We start with the server of cups, attending to emotional needs. Now, this could be attending to your own emotional needs or attending to somebody else's emotional needs. But definitely, you're in a place where you're paying attention to emotions, you're paying attention to your feelings. Let's see what's challenging that. We have the Six of Discs, the web of life. There's so much going on in the world, the interconnectedness and the insanity that sort of, it's like it's like the bug is in the spider web and it vibrates and then the spider comes, and so there's this like tension and this almost like arachnophobia and a fear that, like, if you vibrate the wrong string, like, you're going to get eaten, right? And so I think what that does in this case is it makes you more internal. It makes you less likely to say something, to do something, to bring attention to yourself, because right now so there can be some fear around that. That's a challenge. Fear is some fears are worth it, right? You're walking down the street, you hear somebody walking behind you. It's a good idea to look behind you or find a safe place. Like, that's okay. Like, that's a fear. But that other stuff, if I say this or if I say it wrong, blah, that stuff is a little bit more not good for us, I think. Okay, at the root of this is choices. This is the Lover's card. It's about choice. It's about love. You have a lot of action going on in that first house and the seventh house. Uranus is there, Jupiter is there, and then we have the Sun and Mars and Mercury going to be in the first house. That's the axis of relationship. That's about making choices around relationships. So I think maybe you want to know, like, when will I be loved? Like that song says. When will I be loved? You're doing the right thing by dealing with your feelings and your emotions. That's important, because the healthier you are, the better chance of attracting somebody who's going to support a healthy you as opposed to the opposite. In the past, we have the Three of Pentacles. This is called integrated work. This is about finding work that really resonates with your soul, stuff you really, really want to do. And that's a really good card. I love the Three of Pentacles, actually, for that reason. In the sky, we have the Crone. This could be a grandmother coming in from spirit, or an older woman coming in from spirit, or it can just be an older woman who is, and it doesn't necessarily have to be a woman. It can be a man as well, because this is the Hermit card. But there is a teacher out there for you. There's somebody guiding you. You are guided through this. So know that through this process, you are guided. In the immediate future, we have balance. Balance. This is as you sow, so shall you reap. It's the 8. This is restoring cosmic order. This is, again, dealing with your emotional needs, making sure that you're balanced, coming from a more balanced, integrated place. Um, it's a good card. I'm really happy to see that for you, Scorpio. You don't always get easy cards. How other people see you, the server of discs. Somebody who's good at what they do, somebody who's in service to other people, um, somebody whose work is very valuable, and moving us forward. Your domestic situation. We have the teacher of discs, passionate play. This is reminding us that part of your work is to have fun. Wow, that's a nice one. I like that. Hopes and fears, the Ten of Swords, leaving the story behind. As you heal, as you attend to your emotional needs, the stories that you've been telling yourself over and over again, especially the ones that are not helpful to you, need to be left. It's just a story. It's just a story that you told yourself. Now it's time to create a new story. Create a new story. Uh, Outcome, we have the Three of Swords. This is moving to freedom. This can be a bit of a heartbreak card. Honestly, it is the Three of Swords, but it really is about freeing you to be who you are. And if you've been in a relationship, maybe a codependent relationship that has held you back in some way, with Scorpio, you're either going to be the controller or the controllee, honestly. And this is an opportunity to free you from that. Let's see if we can get a major arcana. We have the Nine of Cups, which in this deck is not like the other decks. This is about ignoring what you need to pay attention to when it comes to your emotional needs. But the first card in the deck said that you're attending to it. So that's good. Unless you're attending to somebody else's and you're denying yourself. That's what you need to free yourself from. Let's see what else we have here. We have the Nine of Discs, instinctual wisdom. This is the self-made person. This is the person who is the captain of their own ship and goes by their own instincts. That's underneath it. And lastly, the Eight of Wands. In this deck, it's called Dream Time. This is about dreaming the big dream. Not forgetting to dream the big dream. Okay, so that none of those were major arcanas. Let's see what's underneath it. Oh, yes, the Magician. You are the Magician. The Ten of Cups, happiness and joy. And the Six of Cups, shared support. You can manifest a nice, healthy relationship as long as you're not trying to control or be controlled. Okay. Joy and happiness is there for you. And that's really what you want. At the root of it is you want to have healthy relationships. And you have an opportunity to do just that this month. All right. Love it. Love it, love it, love it. Sometimes these Scorpio readings are so like, oh my God. But you're Scorpio, so you know the deal. Okay. Most of the Scorpios that I know, because most of the Scorpios I know are high vibrational Scorpios, I don't tend to attract lower vibrational Scorpios because you tend to attract where you're at. Now, I'm not saying it's always been that way. There have been times. But you guys are amazing and wonderful and just so hard. Just like I have a cousin who's got like a crap load of Scorpio, honestly. I think he's got like four placements or five placements in Scorpio. And you would say, oh, there's five placements in Scorpio. He is the most wonderful human being, funny as all heck. I mean, he's so hysterical. And the best dad and the best husband and the best son. He's just a great, great human being. And my goddaughter's a Scorpio. She's amazing. It's an amazing sign. It's an amazing sign, but it's not easy. It's not easy. They are challenged. But if you're integritous, it's miraculous. Cat spirit, claim your independence. Ooh, I guess maybe you do need to dump that person who's trying to hold you back. Let's see. Let's see what it says. Maybe Maybe I'm wrong. Okay, here we go. Says, when cat spirit meows, she is calling you to claim your independence and allow for some space between you and others in your life. Attending to your emotional needs, guys. The only way you can grow in all your relationships now is to have a healthy sense of self-respect and self-worth. Amen, amen. When you walk with dignity, knowing who you are, self-aware and willing to grow, trusting in the value you bring, the world will mirror this all back to you. Hold on, I'm gonna turn the page. When you say no to codependency and enmeshment, live and let live, and practice taking risks as you wander into new territory for you, cat spirit rejoices. Meow. It doesn't say that. I added that. She is here to urge you to let your independent spirit roam free. There you go. So if you really want a meaningful relationship, you need to start with yourself. All right. That's the story, Morning Glories. All right. I will see you next month. The tarot goes for November, another Scorpio month. We'll see what that's going to hold. Take care of yourself. You are the most important. You are the most important person in the room. Don't forget it. And if you would like to support me, you can give me a thumbs up. Every thumbs up I get, I'm in your feed. You see me, other people see me. If this is helpful for you, it might be helpful for others. Share, if you would, these readings. If you know another Scorpio who needs to hear this, or just anybody who needs to hear it, right? You can become a patron. I do have a Patreon channel, and there's a link below if you want to do that. It's a more direct way of supporting my work, and it's greatly appreciated. Thank you to all my patrons who are already there. And if you'd like a reading with me, I do numerology, Kabbalah, and astrology readings. It's a combination. It's a really unique way of looking at it. And I have hour and a half readings available. I do have availability for that. So if you want to know what that may look like, you can check out my In the News segments on this channel, because I do it on famous people. You don't have to be famous for me to do it. You just have to be open. All right, guys, have yourself a wonderful month. It sounds like it's going to be pretty good for you guys. So that's good news. And I'll see you again next month. Take care. Namaste.